Hi, welcome to Exit to Excel. This is the podcast where we take career setbacks and stagnation and turn them into real championship moves. My name is Latanya. They call me LT, and I am your 25-year HR insider who now works for you. And I am spilling all the tea on what goes on behind the scenes, behind the closed doors to those conference rooms, to share with you how things really go on so that you can win at the job search game and at the career game. Now, I want to talk about something that's very important today that if you are in the job market, I will bet my paycheck that you have come across, and that is these job scams. These are the scams where there are fake postings, where there is an opportunity that is too good to be true, only to find out they're trying to get your money or they're trying to get your personal information. A couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, I had a recruiter reach out to me, sent me a message in LinkedIn saying that they were following up to my application and they wanted me to send my resume and to complete this form, which was pretty detailed. And I also noticed that it was from out of the United States. Well, I was on my phone at the time I was running about. And so I did a real quick check for the company's website or the company's profile on LinkedIn. And they did have a profile, but the strange things was that they only had 25 employees. And the recruiter that had reached out to me was not one of them. So I decided to put a pause on it until I could get home and get on my computer and do a little bit more due diligence. Well, by the end of the day, when I got home, was able to do that, the message that I had received in LinkedIn had disappeared, as well as the company that I had seen. So I thought that was very, very strange. Now, a couple of weeks later, I received another message from a recruiter referencing an application that I had submitted and said that a job had opened up that matched my qualifications, actually for a consulting job. And they sent me a link to apply. Well, at this point, I'm not clicking on anybody's link that anybody sends me. And I went through a number of steps that included, you know, checking to see if the job was on the company's website, which it was, and reaching out to another person who I found on LinkedIn, being on the HR department, to verify that the person who had reached out to me was legit and this was a legitimate opportunity. So, unfortunately, we are in the days and times that you have to be so careful in order to not get scammed. There was a situation about a month ago where a woman had applied and was interviewing and had been extended an offer for a senior vice president role, only to find out that it was a fake opportunity after she had submitted all of her personal information. So, hey, this ain't no game, it's the real deal. So, we're going to get into it. But before we go any further, if you have not yet hit the subscribe button for me. Share this with someone who can use it. If anyone's in the job market right now applying for jobs, they can absolutely use it. Trust me. And also hit that like button. Also, remember you can follow me on my social media. That is Exit to Excel on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And coming in a few weeks, I will also be in LinkedIn, and I am so excited about that. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the fact of the matter is, job scams have absolutely exploded in the past few years. And there is one type of scam that went from zero reports in 2020 to over 20,000 in the first half of 2024 year alone. And identity theft through fake job postings is now one of the top consumer complaints to the FTC. So the problem is that, when you are desperate for work, scammers know you're more vulnerable. You're an easy target. And unfortunately, they are getting very, very slick and very, very sophisticated. Now, over the 25 years I've been in HR, I've seen it evolve from, hey, you get these emails from the, you know, Nigerian princes to incredibly convincing fake companies with professional websites, LinkedIn profiles, even, professionals, and also realistic looking interviews. So it's more important than ever that you have to know what to look for in order to protect yourself. So today we're going to cut through all the BS and I'm going to show you exactly that, how to protect yourself in this job market so that you aren't scammed. So today we're going to cover these things. We're going to cover the 5 most common job scams right now, the red flags on every job platform, how to verify if a job is real, what to do if you've been scammed, and how to protect your identity. All right. So let's talk about 5 most dangerous scams. And I'm going to walk you through the ones that are hitting job seekers right now. So, number one is the fake remote job. So, look, everybody wants to work remote, and the scammers know this. So, how this typically works is that they will post a job on one of the job boards like Indeed, LinkedIn, or ZipRecruiter. They'll post as a work from home job, paying $60,000 to $80,000 with no experience needed. When you apply, they respond immediately, and a lot of times the communications are going to take place via text or even Google Chat, and even the interview. So if this is taking place where most of the communications are on chat or text, including the interview, then that's an automatic red flag. Now, they will hire you quickly, but then here comes the kicker. They're going to say that they need to send you some equipment in order to do the job, and that you will need to pay an exorbitant amount of money for the shipping, for which they say they're going to reimburse you. But guess what? You send them, you pay your $500 to get the so called equipment, and you get no equipment and they disappear. So that's one variation. Now, another variation is where they say, hey, we're going to send you a check for $3,500 for you to buy the equipment, but they're going to ask you to deposit it and then wire the $3,000 to their so called vendor. Well, guess what happens? The check is going to bounce and you're going to be out of $3,000 of your own money. And plus, you may be on the hook for charges for cashing a fake check. So, the red flags to look for in these particular opportunities, these too good to be true remote opportunities, is one, a too good salary for minimal qualifications, two, an immediate hire without a real interview. 3, as I mentioned, the communication where it's only via text and chat, where there's no actual phone call or video screen that takes place. Any job that requests money up front for any reason. If you get email from a Gmail or a Yahoo domain, that is a red flag. It should always come from a company domain. And then finally, if the job description is very vague, and sometimes they'll tend to have misspelled words, bad pronunciation, all those things. Okay. So those are some things to look out for those remote opportunity jobs. Scam number 2 is the identity theft interview. Now, how this one works, it is a legitimate looking job posting, and you apply with your resume and they schedule an interview. Now, during the interview, they're going to ask you for your personal information. They're going to ask you for your social security number. They may ask you for your driver's license photo. They may ask you for your bank account information so that they can set up your direct deposit. And they will ask you for your credit card information for this so-called background check. But the thing is, the job never existed. They just set it all up in order to get your identity and your personal information. So when they get this information, look, they're able to open up credit in your name. They're able to apply for loans. They're able to file fraudulent tax returns, and they're able to sell your identity on the dark web. So That is why it's very important that you are able to vet out these companies to ensure that it is a legit opportunity. So, some of the red flags to look for some of these identity theft scams are one, if they're asking for your social security number and banking information or credit card before you get the offer. Now, once you get the offer and you're having to fill out all of your onboarding paperwork, then it's a different story. But if you are asked to fill out that information before you get an offer, then I would say pump the brakes. Now, anytime you have to pay for a background check yourself, that is also a red flag. Anyone requesting to scan your ID or your passport is also a red flag. Now, again, this is before you receive an offer. After you receive an offer, you will be required to verify your identity by providing your driver's license or passport. But again, that is after you have received the offer and is part of the onboarding process. And then also another red flag is where there is no physical office address or a phone number that you can verify. Okay. Scam number 3 is the task based scam. And this is the fastest growing job search scam there is. Now, this one works by it's a job that's posted, usually says something like quality control or online tasks. And they're simple tasks that are going to pay you very well. You're asked to rate products, optimize listings, and click on some links. And they say, hey, we're going to pay you a small amount just to test you out first. But then once we are able to verify your ability to do the job, then you'll be able to make more money. And they will unlock the so-called higher paying task. Well, in order to get to these higher paying tasks, you are going to be asked to send some money to get to those. But then guess what happens? You send the money, no more task comes, and they ghost you. Now, I also came across a similar type of scam like this, I would say probably a few months ago, where, they kind of want to test you out, say, hey, we can pay you. And some of them will say, we'll pay you via PayPal so that you are comfortable with that. They don't have access directly to your banking information, but it's still a scam. Okay. So again, this is the scam that went from 0 reports in 2020 to over 20,000 in 2024. And as I mentioned, this out of the 5 is the fastest growing job scam that's going right now. So, red flags to look for are one, if you're asked to pay to unlock better tasks, if they are offering to pay you in cryptocurrency or gift cards or a wire transfer, huge red flag. If there are promises of high pay for simple clicking, and if your communications is taking place completely on WhatsApp or Telegram. Okay. Now, scam number 4 is the reshipping scam. And I haven't come across this one, but I know of some people who have. So this one works where it's a job that's posted as a warehouse associate or a shipping coordinator. It's a work from home job, and you are receiving these packages at home and reshipping them. So it sounds very legit. And I know there are some similar legit opportunities like this. But the issue with this scam is that you're really reshipping stolen goods that were bought with a stolen credit card. And when the authorities trace it, you're the one noted as receiving the stolen merchandise. We could subject you to some criminal, charges. So the red flags to look for this one is if they are asking you to receive packages at your house, if you are shipping to an international address, if they are vague about the products you're going to be handling, and if the payment is in cryptocurrency. Another red flag is if you are not able to verify a physical warehouse. Okay. Now, scam number 5. Scam number 5 is the one that I think I come across the most, and most of my clients come across the most. And this is the fake recruiter on LinkedIn. Oh my goodness. So this is similar to the story I shared with you earlier. This is where someone contacts you on LinkedIn claiming to be a recruiter. And hey, you look at their profile and it looks legit. They have a professional profile, they have connections, and they all have a company affiliation. But the problem is that it's all fake. Now, their approach is that they are offering you an exclusive opportunity, and a lot of times you got to move fast. They will ask you for your updated resume with your full address, phone number, social security number, and then they're going to direct you to apply on a fake website that is designed to harvest your information. The whole goal of it is to get your data and sell it and, steal your identity. So again, the red flags are if a recruiter contacts you out of nowhere with this perfect opportunity, if they are pressuring you to act quickly because, hey, it's only going to be available for a limited time, if they're asking you for sensitive information before you even discuss the role, if you go to the company website and it looks professional, but it looks pretty new. And I'm going to share with you a way that you can actually check the age of a domain. Go to whois.com, enter the name, and they are able to tell you when that domain was created. Now, if the LinkedIn profile looks new or has very few real connections, that's another red flag. And if the communication is only through the LinkedIn messaging and never through the company email. Now, let's talk about how to spot scams on every platform. And unfortunately, no platform is bulletproof. All of them have or are subject to some types of scam, so it's good to know what to look out for. On LinkedIn, a lot of times those scams will be by individuals who post jobs and not on a company page. If you see a company who has no LinkedIn page or a page that was just created, if the job description is very generic and it looks like it was copy and paste and kind of, cobbled together. Also, as I mentioned, if the language and pronunciation or the punctuation is very poor, if the salary is suspiciously high, too good to be true, and also if you click on easy apply and it redirects you to a sketchy looking website, I would probably pass. Now, the things to look out for on Indeed and ZipRecruiter are if a job is posted and reposted multiple times, if the company name is generic or it sounds made up, if the phone number goes to a personal cell phone number, and if the company reviews are all 5 stars from the same month, it's probably fake. And if they are asking you or requiring you to apply on an external website and not through the platform. Now, let's talk about the email red flags. This is where people will email you. I've gotten these as well. If the email comes from a Gmail or a Yahoo or an Outlook and not a company domain, and I will probably pump the brakes. Again, poor grammar and spelling is another big red flag. Also, if they're being overly aggressive, overly urgent, it is probably something you want to look into a little bit more. And then finally, if the greeting is a little generic, if they refer to you as the applicant and not your name, then it probably isn't legit. Now, here are some other universal red flags that can take place across all the platforms you want to look out for. Any job that requires payment for anything, the training, the equipment, the background check, if the interview is conducted entirely through text and or chat, that's a red flag. If an offer is made before any real interview, if they request personal information from you too early, if they are pressuring you to make a decision very quickly, and if it just sounds too good to be true, if they are promising you easy money or high pay for very little work or very simple work, then again, as they say, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, those are some of the things you want to look out for. Now, I want to share with you how you do verify if a job is real. Now, trust me, it's got to the point where I'm pretty much vetting every opportunity I come across because I'm just seeing too many scams out here. So, I'm going to share with you some of the ways that I do vet out these opportunities to determine whether they're legit or not. So, One way is to research the company. And when I say research, I mean you want to Google the company's name, but then you also want to do I think it's called a Boolean search where you add the plus and put in the word scam or reviews to see if anything comes up. And I think for one of the opportunities, I can't remember which one, but when I did do a Google search, when I did that, oh my goodness, the information that came back on Reddit and I think it's Quora and these other sites, I was like, oh, okay, so this is a popular scam that's out there. Because trust me, people be telling it. Check the Better Business Bureau. That's always a good resource. You want to look at the company's actual website and not just the social media. Again, you can check to see how old the domain is by going to whois.com to see if it was something that was just recently created. Google the address. Is there an actual physical building or is it just a PO box? Or is it UPS? And then look for the company on Glassdoor and see what the employee reviews are. That's another good way to be able to tell. Now, the red flags for that when you're doing your research, a red flag is that if you see no online presence outside of their recently created social media. Another red flag, if you don't see any employee reviews anywhere, if the website has no real content or contact information, if the address is residential or a virtual office or a PO box, and if their company headquarters is a UPS store. Huge red flags. Now, ways to verify the job posting, go to the company's official website careers page. Now, I will say that's probably one of the best ways to verify the legitimacy of an opportunity. That's what I did for this last company is that I was able to actually go on their page and I saw it listed as an actual opportunity. If the job is listed there, then it probably is legit. You can call the company's main number, and that's the main number on their website, not from the job posting, to see if it reaches an actual business. And sometimes you can even ask the person if, they can assist you with, job openings or getting you to the HR department. That's also another good way to do it. And you could ask if they have that actual job opened. You can also search for the job title and the company on LinkedIn, and you can check to see if there are other employees in similar roles that actually exist. Now, ways to verify the recruiter, and this is something I do all the time as well. The first thing I do is look them up on LinkedIn. Now, each time for the examples I gave you, one, the recruiter didn't really exist and they were not listed as a company or as an employee on the company's website. But then for the legitimate opportunity, that someone had reached out to me too, interestingly enough, the recruiter, I didn't find him as an employee of the company. And so, like I said, I reached out to someone else who I did see was part of their human research department, part of the recruiting team. And so I sent her a message on LinkedIn, sent her a screenshot of the message I received and asked her if she could verify the person and the opportunity, which she did. But you can also check the person's employment history and their connections. You can also Google their name along with the company's name to see if anything comes up. And again, you can call the company directly and ask to be transferred to them. Very easy. Imagine that, picking up the phone. So, red flags are if you can't find them on LinkedIn or the company website, if the LinkedIn profile is new or sparse, if you call or you reach out to someone and the company has never heard of them, and if the person refuses to talk on the phone or have a video call and they only want to talk or communicate via text, it's probably not legit. Now, step 4, which I don't know, I would probably rank pretty much at the top, is to trust your gut. I can't tell you each time that, I've kind of taken a pause, it is because something just did not feel right. So if something feels off, it probably is. So look, don't rush into anything. Don't give any information under pressure. Don't pay any money for any reason. to have a job, to secure employment, and don't ignore red flags because you need a job. Again, this is what the scammers are counting on. So you want to make sure that you do your due diligence and verify the legitimacy of these opportunities. And again, what is for you is for you. So if it's a legitimate job, it's still going to be there after you go through your due diligence, but at least you can have a peace of mind, right? Now, what do you do if you've been scammed? One is you got to act fast because they are already running off to the races with your information if you've gotten scammed. So if you sent money, obviously contact your bank or your credit card company, report the fraud to your financial institution, file a police report, report it to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, that's ic3.gov, and then also report it to the FTC at reportfraud.ftc.gov. If you have shared your personal information, immediate actions you want to take is place fraud alert on all of your credit reports. Okay. And you can do that very easily. I know a lot of people now have the credit monitoring services. So sometimes you can do that just with one phone call. But you'll also want to continue to monitor your credit reports for, any fraudulent activity. Consider freezing your credit for a period of time until, you see how things play out. Change your passwords on all of your accounts. Watch for suspicious bank activity, and then file an identity theft report at identitytheft.gov. Now, if you cashed a fake check, then you'll want to contact your bank immediately because you are going to be responsible for the money that you withdrew. But also, please file a police report and report it to the FTC. The important thing is not to be embarrassed because these things are happening every day, even to the most knowledgeable, educated, professional people. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. But as long as you take action fast and you get help fast, then hopefully it will mitigate a lot of the damage. Now, in order to protect your information, there's some job safety rules you should follow while you're in the job market. And again, you are going to need to provide information after you've been extended an offer when you're going through the onboarding. But anything prior to that point, you need to be very careful about. You should not be giving out your social security number. You should not be giving out any banking information. You should not be giving any credit card information, nor should you be sharing your driver's license or passport information or copy. Again, you'll be required to do it after you've made an offer, but not before. Don't provide any login credentials to any account, and don't make any payments of any kind. Now, the information that is okay to share is your name, your email address, and your phone number, your resume with your work history, your LinkedIn profile, and I would say your references after they request them, which usually takes place after you've gone through your interviews. Now, I'm still seeing people putting their full address on their resumes, their street address. I wouldn't do that. It's just too risky these days. So they don't need to see it anyway. Just put your city and state. And especially if you are posting your resume on these sites like Career Builder and Monster. I definitely would not put my street address on those. As a matter of fact, I don't even put my phone number on those because I just don't want it floating out there and not having control over it. So I don't even put my phone number. I'll just put my email address and my city and state so that they know, you know, geographically where I'm located. So some smart job search practices while you're, in the job search is to one, create an email specifically for your job search. Then that way you can keep everything separate from your personal email. You don't have to commingle, your job search stuff with your sensitive information. And it is easier to be able to spot scam emails when you have everything separate. As I just mentioned, you want to limit the information on your resume, your city and state only, your professional email, remove your birth date, social security numbers, and photos, even though I don't know why you would have those on there anyway. Use the platform privacy settings. Remember, you can set the privacy settings on all of these things. Indeed, LinkedIn, Career Builder, you can set the privacy settings. So go through and make sure that you're comfortable with the level of security that you have on there. You can make your resume searchable only by you. You can block certain companies from viewing your resume, and don't include your current employer if you're still employed, because sometimes people are looking for people who are working for certain companies to be able to get information. So sometimes it's a good idea to go ahead and take that off. Now, do your research before applying. Spend 5 to 10 minutes verifying the company. If you can't verify, don't apply. And just know that it's better to miss one opportunity than to go through all that trouble if you have lost your identity. And then again, trust your instincts. If it feels wrong, it probably is. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. If they're rushing you, it's probably a scam. And if they want money, it's probably a scam. So I'm going to share with you a quick decision guide that, you can go through. You see it here. If it's a real job, what you're going to see is going to be posted on their company's official website. It's going to be, the salary requirements and qualifications are realistic. It's a very detailed job description. It's an email from a company domain. They're giving you ample time to consider it, and they're never asking you for money. Now, these fake jobs you see, they're only on these third party sites. The salary is too good to be true in light of the qualifications they're looking for. They're pressuring you to accept immediately. They're asking you to pay for things, and they're requesting personal information way too early. So those are definitely some of the red flags to look out for. So when in doubt, I would say to be on the safe side, if it just doesn't feel right, then don't apply. But if you do want to be sure, then again, Google them along with the word, scam. Call the company directly and don't proceed until you are able to verify the legitimacy. So, look, there you have it. Unfortunately, these job scammers are preying on vulnerable and desperate people at a very vulnerable time in their life. Don't let it be you. The fact of the matter is, when you are employed and stressed, you're an easy target. And these scammers are counting on you to overlook the red flags and not trust your instinct. So now I've shared with you the 5 most dangerous scams, the red flags to look out for, how to verify the legitimacy of a job, what to do if you've been scammed, and how to protect your identity. Now, I have created a job safety checklist that I am providing to my followers and my listeners. So if you are interested in it, then comment below safety, or you can send me a comment or a DM on my social media, Exit to Excel, on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. And I'll be more than happy to give it to you. It's going to go through everything that we discussed here in even more detail, so that you can have a checklist to go through every time you feel like you may be coming across an opportunity that doesn't quite feel so right. Okay. Because remember, the novices at this, they're clicking on every opportunity they see, even the ones they aren't legit. They're giving out their information. They're being vulnerable to identity theft. And we're not going to do that. We're going to verify first. We're going to protect our information, and we're only going to pursue these legitimate opportunities. Okay. Because at the end of the day, these legitimate opportunities do exist, but you just need to know the difference between the real opportunities and these people who are out here faking the funk. Because you're not just looking for a job, we are competing for a career championship, and we are going about it the right way. So, with that, that's it that I have for today. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you the next time.